everyone.
Good morning.
All right, so I am here to do the church chat this morning. Here to speak for Black History Month. And I was supposed to speak last week, and usually when I get up here, I always say, I have no idea what I was going to say. I didn't know last week either. But God made it possible, because he said, hey, I'm going to give you the sickness real quick so you can have another week to think about it. So now I know what I'm going to say. So growing up, I really wanted to be a lawyer or work in government or some kind of field in that kind of aspect. And there was one person I really looked up to growing up, and I believe his impact played a lot into some of the things that we have now as far as Clarence Thomas being a Supreme Court Justice and the first Black female nominee, being nominated for it to be the first Black woman on the Supreme Court. So I wanted to look back on his impact and the things that he did, because I really believe some of the things that he did in the past are what's helping us now in the future. So Thurgood Marshall attended Baltimore's Colored High School Training School, where he was an above average student, and he put his finely honed skills of argument to use as a star member of the debate team. After graduating from high school in 1926, Marshall attended Lincoln University, a historically Black college in Pennsylvania. After graduating from Lincoln with honors in 1930, Marshall applied to the University of Maryland Law School. Despite being overqualified academically, Marshall was rejected because of his race. This firsthand experience with discrimination in education made a lasting impression on Marshall and helped determine the future course of his career. Instead of Maryland, Marshall attended law school in Washington, D.C. at Howard University, another historically Black school. In 1934, Thurgood Marshall began working for the Baltimore branch of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the NAACP. In 1936, Marshall moved to New York City to work full-time as a legal counsel for the NAACP. Over several decades, Marshall argued and won a variety of cases to strike down many forms of legalized racism. Of course, his most important one, and one we most know, Brown versus the Board of Education in 1954. And this helped to inspire the American Civil Rights Movement. In 1961, newly elected President John F. Kennedy appointed Thurgood Marshall as a judge for the U.S. Second Circuit Court of Appeals. In 1965, Kennedy's successor, Lyndon B. Johnson, appointed Marshall to serve as the first Black U.S. Solicitor General, the attorney designated to argue on the behalf of the federal government before the Supreme Court. And on October 2nd, 1967, Marshall was sworn in as a Supreme Court Justice, becoming the first African American to serve on the nation's highest court. Marshall would go on to serve in this position for 24 years, retiring in 1991. So, when we think about a lot of people that we think about for Black History Month, when we think about Martin Luther King, when we think about Malcolm X, we have to undoubtedly think of Thurgood Marshall as one of the greatest and most important figures of the American Civil Rights Movement. Thank you.